So, yeah, again, it wasn't the vid I was planning to do first, but, I looked at this, and I saw a variation on the theme from yesterday. Labour raid on all homes worth more than 500k is wealth tax in all but name. And so then it was Rachel Reeves is facing a furious backlash after she was claimed to be plotting a radical shape up of property taxes. The Chancellor has been accused by property experts such as TV's Kirsty Also, blah blah blah, of seeking to punish people for making sacrifices to buy their own homes. She was also charged with planning a wealth tax in all but name on middle class homeowners through an overhaul of property levies. So Ms. Reeves is said to have ordered Treasury officials to examine reforms to the current stamp duty system. Now, if anybody believes it's that puppet Reeves, just look at the bloody civil service. They don't change. You've got various puppets, but Labour, Conservative, whoever the fuck, right? What doesn't change is the fucking civil service, right? So let's translate that as the civil service told that puppet Reeves to start hinting, blah, 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 that she had this idea about whatever the fuck they've tasked her to, say to us. They're the ones behind the scenes, like. So the Guardian reported that owners of houses worth more than 500,000 could have to pay a proportional property tax based on the value of their properties when they sell up. Think about this. I mean, it ties into Agenda 21, it ties into you'll own nothing and you better be bloody happy, Don't make it so ridiculously expensive between energy costs, utilities, you name it, food costs, everything that goes with running a bloody house. And let's not forget council taxes going through the bloody roof. And you're getting less and being charged more. Meanwhile, they're not even fucking cutting down what they were, it used to be about emptying bins, right? Keeping the parks tidy. Yeah, anything with a bit of greenery that was like, blah, 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 next to a road, for example, would be trimmed, etc. For good bloody reasons. Not least of which, winter, sun, not that great at the best of times, right? But winter, icy roads, all the rest of it, you could go into the detail, but now it's, and another thing, is they're less and less motivated to clean up graffiti, because it's all part of this absolute breakdown. And I've heard from various people who have said, well, it's Scott, we've left the country, and they've gone to various places, blah, blah, blah. We were told, it's going to kick off and, blah, blah, blah. And you could see by various data, we're certainly getting there, and the solutions by most popular, whoever, on whoever platforms, whatever platforms, is the inference, not necessarily seeing, but the inference is, well, we need some kind of civil unrest. We need to, the people need to stand up. But historically, that's never ended well. It really hasn't. It's usually always to do with something in relation to communism being the outcome, or National Socialism, or fascism. And you don't have to look back that far historically. But hey, when you look at the modern education system, well, So while a lot of people will be like, well, it's not affected me because my house is not that price, or, if you're lucky enough to be able to have owned any kind of property, I mean, seriously, the difference between your life alone in that is, and over time, something that most people who don't have property don't recognize. They don't see the fact it's an asset, And people used to confidently, don't get me wrong, a lot of Masons have bought phenomenal properties and all the rest of it, and they're in touch with much, and that's their networks, and in no small ways how they've got there. But there are people out there who just happen to have grafted and could see the potential of a decent-sized family home that they've been planning to stay in for at least 30, 40 years, bring up a family, all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. knowing that at some stage in their dotage, when they're needing more care, etc., that they can sell that, or to downsize when they're no longer needing any in that size, and bills cheaper, and they're looking at for some retirement money. Well, why don't they deserve that? But remember, I used to talk about, on obviously channels that no longer exist, but the term house blockers. It's all part of how they get there. And any decent sized property becomes so prohibitively expensive, or there is no financial gain for investing in one. But the socialists will be, well, look, if it helps, other people, but no jokes. You don't get it. Even if you've got a small house with a couple of bedrooms, at some stage, you'll be told, we all have to do our bit, and if you're not using it, we've got a refugee that could definitely do with it. I mean, it's absolutely about the destruction of everything. Yeah. Without a doubt. And I said on that one, further wealth extraction from the British people to fund a replacement over time. I haven't even replied on this one. But, I mean, that puppet Reeves is confirming, is drawing up plans to make selling family homes liable for capital gains tax in a fresh raid that could hit pensioners hoping to downsize, and so much more. Think about it. 24% of the value of any gain they've made from the increase in the value of their property when they've bought it will go to the government. And it won't end there. And remember, council tax going up and up and up and up and up. Look how much they age. So same old Labour tax the hard-working, productive members of society to pay for the unproductive illegals and dossers. Record crossings, record numbers on the dole, record deficit, inflation soaring, zero growth. Fools voted out Sunak for this. Well, it's a wee bit more complex than that, because believe me, if the Conservatives were in, by and large, we'd still be, it'd still be a direction of travel. The thing about Labour is they can come in and go bang, 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 and then it's back to, well, various other puppets, yeah? Meanwhile, those puppets have made out like bandits. So, spoiler, Labour's definition of a mansion, any living space that is not occupied by illegals. There's a lot of truth in that. Yeah? It's all deliberate and by design. And while these puppets and remember, they're well-protected puppets. And at some stage, they'll leave politics, go back into whatever else, do blah, blah, blah. But they're not having to worry about their future, their retirement, how well they live. It's the best paid acting gigs, politicians, to be a politician. You just have to be somewhere on that socio-psychopathic scale and be part of an occult network. But yeah, it's always I could do a better job, but a subscribe, a share, a comment, a thumb up. And I'll speak to you soon.